Good afternoon, Jim Whitehead of All Power Group and Phoenix Animal. Today, for those who have cats, we love cats, we love dogs, we love them all. We pray for them every day, every night, that all animals is safe and protected, and they have someone that takes care of them and loves them dearly. I've mentioned many times about our wonderful Jamie, the 11-year-old Shih Tzu, who is wonderful. And she makes our day. Without her, things just wouldn't be very good. But anyway, we just want to say, why does a creature that mastered the art of doing absolutely nothing, always seems so utterly and completely exhausted? And you might say, well, you slept too hard and you're tired more because you slept? But I'm here to tell you the truth of what they do when you're not there. Because again, you're at work, working hard, and believe it or not, they're at home working hard. And I will tell you all the things they do. Okay. To answer this, you must understand that what you perceive as idleness is, in fact, a state of hyper-vigilant, dimensional spanning, soul-crushingly difficult work. To understand this, you must look at a day in the life of Barnaby. Now, a lot of my animals, we call them Barnaby, but they're all individuals and they're all wonderful. So there is Barnaby, and as beautiful as ever. Now, Barnaby was a fluffy orange cat whose owner, a kind woman named Linda, believed he had two primary skills: shedding. No one likes shedding, neither dogs or cats. And the other thing she thought the cat just does is sleeping. Oh, you have such a hard life, she would coo as she left for work, stroking Barnaby's head as he lay inert on a rug. Now, when you see with Linda's car leaving and Barnaby says, okay, Linda has left, my owner has left, and I am now in charge, and I'm going to do what I need to do to take care of everything. So you can see Barnaby looks very determined that he's going to get to work and do everything he needs to do to take care of the home before Linda comes home from work. So his first task was what they call gravitational field maintenance. And again, you will not be tested on this. The sunbeam that crept across the living room floor was not merely a patch of warm light. It was a fickle, wandering cosmic tether. Now say that real fast. If it wasn't properly anchored through strategic napping, the entire house's equilibrium could be thrown off, leading to calamities like stubbed toes and pictures hanging slightly askew. For 3 hours, Barnaby chased, pinned, and subdued the Sunbeam, finally trapping it on the sofa for a 45-minute supervisory nap. In other words, he worked so long that, and he finally got the light correct and in a safe situation. It was time for the supervisor, Barnaby, to take a nap. And the point was to do the nap before it vanished. It was mentally taxing. Next, the pest control. Linda thought the house was free of vermin. She was blissfully unaware of the constant threat of entropic minima. I know you're probably saying, what is that? Or, and I'm going to tell you what it is, or as they are known in the vernacular, greebles. I know you're saying entropic minima equals greebles. You'd say, oh, I knew that, and I thought that was great. These invisible chaos sprites infest clean surfaces, their sole purpose to knock pens off desks and introduce single, unmatched socks into the laundry. You know, and how often somebody say, hey, I'm missing a sock. Barnaby was the realm's sole exterminator. So in other words, I know Linda thinks the cat sleeps all day and then comes home and I feed the cat. Well, no. You can see the cat is doing a lot more work than you think they do. This explained the sudden explosive sprints into the empty hallway, the wide-eyed staring at a perfectly blank wall, and a frantic scrambling inside the cardboard box. He wasn't chasing nothing. He was engaged in mortal combat with the forces of minor inconvenience. Now, when you come home and you see things on the floor, you think the cat did it. You say, oh, come on, Barnaby, why did you knock over this or that, or pens? Well, in reality, Barnaby didn't do that. Barnaby was here to try to make everything the way it should be. Anyway, back to, again, Barnaby's busy day. By midday, he was drained. He needed to attend the council. He leaped into Linda's bed, curled into a perfect circle, and initiated the trans-feline sleep conference. This is true. It's real. It's just you're not home and you don't know this is happening. And since cats and dogs can't just, either write you a note or when you come home and say, I want to tell you everything I've done today. But anyway, here, through the medium of deep snoozing, he and other neighborhood guardians would telepathically debate matters of grave importance. Today's topic: a rogue plastic bag had been spotted drifting menacingly down the street. The psychic shouting was immense. Barnaby argued for a full-scale pounce and shred maneuver, but was overruled by a Siamese from 2 doors down who advocated a more cautious hiss from a safe distance. The diplomacy was exhausting because they had to go back and forth, and they're saying, hey, should we do this? Should we do that? And that really was very hard work again. So here we go. Barnaby's done a whole heck of a lot so far. His final and most critical duty was quality assurance. Every soft surface had to be tested for comfort and nappability, meaning that if it's there, it should be where they can nap on it. This included the freshly folded laundry, and Barnaby found it was acceptable. Does she look happy? I still want to have you remember she was actually working. The next one is Linda's laptop keyboard. Suboptimal, but strategically important. And, you know, I know it's like you'd say when you're trying to get work done and you have it where you come home and even if your cat is not on your laptop, you can tell that Barnaby has been on the laptop because of the shedding. It's a dead giveaway. The next important spot is the refrigerator. On top of the refrigerator is an excellent vantage point, but poor ergonomics. But it's like she has to make sure everything is in its place. And if you stay at the same level of, above the floor, you might miss something. So Barnaby says, I've got to go from here, I got to go from there. And of course, he's now, on the refrigerator. Very important, very important. The climax of this day came when the mail arrived. And there's Barnaby looking and expecting the mail to come through the slot. And do you think it's just like I keep saying she, but he can just let the mail come in without doing anything? That's downright dangerous. The slot in the door flung open, and an envelope, a bill, by the looks of it, slid onto the floor. To Linda, it was mail. To Barnaby, it was an incursion. So Barnaby's saying, this guy or woman or male man comes and puts something through the mail slot, and it should not be allowed. And it's an incursion into our home, and I need to resolve this to ensure that everything is safe. And this is what they call an unsanctioned breach of the perimeter by a paper-based entity of unknown intent. So he stalked it for 10 minutes, flattened himself to the floor, and then attacked with a fury of tooth and claw, neutralizing the threat by batting it under the sofa, where it could do no more harm. So there's another job that Barnaby had to do. People putting things into the home that she has to make sure is safe and not dangerous for Linda. I'm telling you, after doing this presentation, I have so much more respect for all the cats in the world. God bless them. Okay, just as he finished, he heard Linda's car in the driveway. Now, he's drenched in sweat due to his labors, or so imagined. He sprinted to the welcome mat, collapsed into a boneless heap, and mustered the energy to look as pathetic as possible. Linda walked in and she chirped, "Did you have a good sleep?" So here we go. Linda's thinking that Barnaby stayed in the same location, just sitting there, worrying and waiting for her to come home. Little does she know what Barnaby actually had to do to make sure everything was ready for her to come home. And all she thinks is, "Did you have a wonderful sleep?" Barnaby's saying, wow, she's out of touch. She is not a knowing person as to all the stuff that he had to do. Barnaby looked up at her, the weight of his cosmic responsibilities pressing down on him, the memory of his heroic battle with the envelope still fresh in his mind. He let out a long, weary soul and a deep sigh. And that's why your cat is so exhausted. It's not easy guarding the reality from the forces of chaos, especially when your only payment is a bowl of kibble and the condescending assumption that you've been asleep all day. So poor Barnaby, you're looking at Barnaby eating his pay. And that's it right there, where you'd say, poor Barnaby, is that all they get for all this work? So I hope you enjoyed this. I always enjoy doing them. And one thing I do want to point out, I'm also going to expand the channel because have been a coffee roaster in my long careers, and I feel, and the neatest thing with YouTube, you try to do things, yes, that people enjoy. I get that. But also, you want to make sure that the presenter, the content creator, is enjoying what they're doing. You know, and I've been doing this pretty much full time for over 2 years, and had done it all through beginning, I think, approximately in 2007, with all the businesses I did when I was younger, generator business and computers, electronics, you name it. So again, I'm just going to expand the channel into, the coffee arena. Now, I was going to just, and, it's like with anything, you can just do whatever you want, but you also don't want to have it where, people are enjoying the animal aspect of the channel, and you just all of a sudden decide you're going to do something different. So when I was looking at pulling pictures, by the way, I think the name of this particular coffee issue will be All Power Coffee, and it will be very educational. And since I did have a roasting business over on the other side of the state called Roasting Expectations, I wrote a book, did a lot of different things. So it does make sense to add coffee as an additional avenue, I guess you might say, for me enjoying, and hopefully, my enjoying it, which I love it anyway, but have it where you learn as much as you can about coffee, how to brew coffee, and there's so many different topics. It's actually amazing. But anyway, look forward to that. I probably will do a video that kind of explains a little bit better. But when I was looking at the pictures, I'm sorry, my age is a little bit where, I start off on a tangent and then sometimes, it comes back to me. But the point is, when I was looking at the pictures for coffee stuff, I mean, again, the images you pull, etc., are great. But I was seeing, of course, as I would, animal pictures. And every time I looked at one, I was like, I don't really want to give up animals because I enjoy doing it. And I learn new things generally when you go deeper in reference to some of the animals that I do. Like, for example, one of my recent presentations was on Trigger, the horse for Roy Rogers. And yeah, I knew that, and I had watched Roy Rogers when I was a kid, but I didn't know all the things that I learned, you might say, by putting that presentation together. And I did that about a week and a half ago. And I'll leave a link and so on and so forth. But anyway, so we're going to be doing coffee and continue with the animals related to things that hopefully you'll enjoy again. But anyway, thank you for being here. And I think the next presentation again will be kind of an introduction to coffee. And admittedly, it's hard to say animals and coffee go together. Well, they really don't. But, that's how sometimes you do that stuff. But anyway, again, thank you, and may you have the best rest of your day. And thanks again, Jim Whitehead, All Power Group. Take care.